Good morning and good evening, lady and gentlemen. Big hi from Singapore Training and Development Association, STADA. This is our STADA webinar. We have some very interesting speakers lined up today. Big welcome to Jason Durkee. He is the president of a workplace learning and performance consulting firm called Idea Development. He's the president there, and he's also the VP of and the director of ATD Japan. So today, and he's had about more than 2 decades of experience in teaching the innovation skills and delivering cross-cultural awareness, communication development programs to more than 40,000 participants across the region. Yeah, and he is a leader in learning transfer, dynamic training design, and effective use of learning technology. He is a regular speaker at the ATD conference, the T&D events in Asia. We're very fortunate to have him here speak about Innovate, a new way of how to revitalize your innovation skills program. So thank you, Jason. We also have Jacqueline. Jacqueline will be speaking right after Jason. She is the Asia Pacific regional manager for ATD. Our close contact for ATD, who has been a big supporter for STADA, and she herself comes with a experience in this events and this learning space for a long, for many years across the region. I think in China, Korea, and many places. Yeah. So and she was also a speaker in our learning festival earlier in the in March 2022. Yeah, last year we had this almost same time. So welcome again, Jacqueline. So nice to see you. So let's get started. We also have Christine there. Christine, welcome. Christine is our Honorary Secretary of STADA. So thank you. Welcome, Christine. So yeah. So let me not stand between you and Jason. Jason, over to you. We are all very eager to listen to you. Of course, there will be more people who will join. Yeah.
Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for taking the time, especially on a Friday night. As you heard, my name is Jason. I'm based in Tokyo. I've been doing this type of job here for about 25 years. Originally, during the bubble years, I came to Japan when I was much younger and had more hair, and have stayed during that time. Before that, I was born and raised in the United States on the West Coast in a place called Seattle. Okay, today we don't have hundreds of people. So, of course, I've planned a pretty dense presentation, but if you have questions or comments, please add, because I'm happy to listen to anything that you want to know about or talk about. To at least start things though. So the topic that we're going to present this year at ATD ICE is about innovation. This is part of the track that's related to planning for the future. That's something that we brought out last year. It's kind of new and a very exciting track. Now, this particular topic is a little bit maybe, I don't want to say confusing, but so some people, they want to teach innovation skills to their participants. Other people, they want to use innovation skills themselves to make their training better or to make their training designs better. And hopefully, if you're one or both of those, it'll be a little bit of help. And if you have anything you want to talk about to me in the future, that is my email right there, and it'll show up again later. So today's story is essentially these 5 things. First is some basics. Second, the 3 skills that I think are important for innovation. And finally, a a little bit about how to design programs in a way that people actually use or transfer what they learned on the job. I'm not going to talk about it much today, but the truth is that behind what we're talking about today is some very serious kind of research and background, especially about learning transfer and application and stuff like that. And if you're interested in any of that, you can go to this website called Practical Training Transfer that me and the Eyeglass BBC London guy do together. And it has all kinds of stuff that's actually some pretty good stuff, all free, about how to get better results, how to design, what to do about innovation, kind of a wide range of things. Now, one thing that's been really interesting to me is my company is called Idea Development because maybe you can imagine my customers, almost all Japanese, many engineers, very smart, hardworking, but their strength is not creative thinking. And so when I started my company back in 2003, I thought, hey, I really want to focus on creativity and innovation. And that's why I called it Idea Development, helping people get more ideas and develop those skills. And since that time, with probably 20,000 people by now, we always do a little survey. And what's interesting is the survey results have almost not changed at all in 20 years. So we ask 4 questions. The first one is this. We ask them, do you need innovation, ideas, creative thinking at work? And they have a 5-point scale. They can say plus, plus, absolutely, or plus, yeah. 0 would be neutral. Minus, not really. Minus, minus, no way. Now, this is a pre-survey that we give to everyone who takes one of our programs. So, of course, it's a little biased. Probably they have a need, so they come to the training. But it's pretty simple that more than 90% of the people say, yes, I need innovation, or yes, I really need innovation. Okay. But because you need it, doesn't mean that you want to do it. So that's the second thing we ask them, which is, do you want to improve this? And here it's even clearer that actually 98% of the people say, yes, I want to, or really want to get better at this. That's a really high number. Then we ask, okay, so how are you now, just compared to the other people around you? Plus, plus, really good. Plus, yeah, better than average. Circle, middle of the road. Minus, not so good. Minus, minus, terrible. And here you have a very different type of picture. You'll see that less than 20% of the people feel that they're good or very good. Now, naturally, there's a little bit of people being modest, especially in Japan, where this data is from. But I think more than that, it really means they don't have a lot of confidence, which is fine. So if it's important and you want to do it and you're not confident, you would study something, right? Like read some books, get a magazine, maybe take an ATD course. Well, that's the last thing. And this is very dry. Have you read even one book? And sadly, the answer is almost no for most people. And what I'm trying to say with this is that what you can see, and I've done this again with R&D people, marketing people, a lot of people who take an innovation course are actually, they're experts at it and they do it in their job. But what I want you to realize is that, at least in my experience, and it's the same over 20 years with many industries, many levels, is that people, they need it, they want it, but they're not confident and they haven't studied. And what that means is we have to make it very kind of start from the basics and help them build that confidence. So when we teach innovation, it's not sophisticated, it's not McKinsey, Boston Consulting Group. It's actually really, really simple. Just these three things. First is about needs, to understand the problem. And second is about ideas, to get a new idea. And third is about action, to do it and kind of understand the real needs, think of a fresh idea and take that action. For us, this has been a very basic, easy to understand, and also easy to do and actually get results style. So today I'll talk a little bit about each of these, and finally, how you put it together into a course. So needs, there's kind of two worlds of needs. And the first one is maybe made famous by design thinking. And design thinking is really about empathy and observation, interviews, hearing, stuff like that. I call that micro because you're dealing with one person or a couple people at a time, but trying to go very deep and understand what are those like real needs behind what they talk about. And these are the kind of techniques if you want to find unspoken, unrecognized needs. The opposite of that is what we call macro, and this is maybe more of like a consulting approach and usually uses like some fancy frameworks. And the idea is to get a wider view of the world and get information from all these different places, put it together. And you usually end up with tools like SWOT or position mapping, maybe a user journey, etc. And if you look at all these different tools, you'll see that basically all the different tools are good at some stuff and not so good at other stuff, and that's fine. So kind of my tips or conclusion about needs is to try and learn many of those different tools so you have options. And second, you try to combine them. So maybe a little observation, some surveys, and maybe working out loud, because each one has strengths and weaknesses. By kind of overlapping them, you can balance it out. Finally, particularly if you do anything with design thinking, you know that being in the real context, watching people work, participating in it, doing even a role play, etc., is really, really rich to identify real needs. And you have to make sure this leads to action. If you want to study more about needs, I think the easiest, best book here is 101 Design Methods. Okay, so with needs, you try to understand what's the real problem. But next, let's talk about ideas, because this is maybe the area that a lot of people don't understand so well. So in ideas, the most well-known style or way to get ideas is called brainstorming. That was made in the 60s by an American advertising guy. And brainstorming is get people together, say lots of ideas, build off each other. Don't worry about what's good and bad at the moment. Okay. Particularly in Japan and to a lesser extent in other Asian countries, I've had really good experience with a friend of brainstorming called brainwriting. Similar idea, but if you look at it in action, you can see that, okay, you take everybody at once, write your ideas, then you kind of slap it down, and after a few minutes, maybe you want to see what the other guys are doing, so you move the papers around, you can build on what they gave you, and you kind of keep repeating this. Eventually, if you want to make it more exciting, you could add some music, you could bring in some little tip sheets. But what's really interesting about brainstorming and brain writing is that, say you had 4 people, 20 minutes, and you did some brainstorming, you probably write on the whiteboard, right? And my experience is you get something like this probably. If you do a good job, you'll get like maybe 15 ideas on the left, 15 ideas on the right, maybe a total of about 30 ideas. Not bad. What's interesting to me, though, is that, okay, when I compare that to 20 minutes, 4 people, brain writing, say the last 40 teams we've done this with, and I count how many ideas they got, it's like you can see here, a lot. Actually, the average is about 100. And what I think is interesting is that, okay, 30 to 100, that's like 300%. It's a big difference. But what they're doing is almost exactly the same. Brainstorming is think it and say it. Brain writing is think it and write it. Same thing, but that little twist gives you a big difference in output. And that's really the nature of idea generation techniques. And that's why it's worth kind of studying this stuff. Let's look at another one. This one I call negative reverse. Let's take a topic. So maybe you do a training, but the learners or the participants, they don't use it on the job. They don't apply it. And I want to fix that. Okay. So let's use the negative reverse strategy. What are some of the reasons that people don't use your training? Maybe, well, they don't do it, or maybe they try, but they give up really quickly. I'm sure there's many other problems. Okay, let's do this. Let's take those problems or difficulties or barriers, and let's kind of flip it around. How can we overcome those? So like, what could we do to help them do it on the job? Well, maybe we should support them with like action plans and also involve managers. Maybe we should, so that they don't give up and stop, maybe we should follow up with like spaced reminders and individual coaching, stuff like that. Another type of strategy that can work is take a big idea, break it down, and then mix it up again. So for example, this is what I call analyze and twist, because you break it up and then you mix it up. The topic is, I want to make our training maybe more exciting or fresh or new. Okay, let's think. What are some of the pieces of a typical training course? And okay, you have participants, and you have usually a trainer guy. Maybe you have some equipment, and you probably have some like activities, right? Okay, well, to analyze or break that down, let's make lots of details about this. So, okay, about the trainer, like what are some of the details? Usually there's one trainer for a class. The trainer could be a subject matter expert, or maybe a training expert, or maybe they're an internal L&D person, or maybe it's an external vendor, or maybe there's some special guest speaker, whatever. The idea is that for each of those elements, you kind of make a list, you break it down, And then, like a slot machine, let's mix it up and make a new combination. For example, okay, let's take these pink guys, 12 to 20 people with a subject matter expert, PowerPoint slides, and a presentation. In a usual training, this would probably be very boring. The subject matter expert would come. She would have a whole bunch of slides. They'd be very dense. She'd give a presentation and 12 to 30 people would sleep. So how can we take those pieces and make it fresh or new or different? Well, maybe instead of the expert presenting, maybe we could do this. Maybe we give the slides to the participants. They look it over and study as best they can, and then they make the presentation. Based on that, the expert is the listener, and she says, good or bad, or here's an example, or here's more details. That would be like one example of how to make it fresh using those pieces. Let's look at another example. Okay, right along the bottom here in the pink zone, our topic is how to make your training exciting. And so we chose voluntary participants with big motivation. And the trainer is like guests from outside the company. Equipment, meaning the location is not inside a meeting room, it's in the real business workplace. And the activity is not a lecture, it's like some sort of small group working together. So let's see, with highly motivated participants, off-site with a guest speaker doing group work, what could we do that would be more fresh and exciting? Well, maybe instead of like listening to a talk about business or leadership or project management, maybe we could go as a small group and visit kind of pros doing it. For example, if I wanted to learn marketing, we could send 3 people to go to an advertising agency for a day. They can follow around a VP and they can learn this is what it's really like to work in marketing. Or if I wanted to do technology, okay, we could go to a laboratory with the R&D guys and they teach us exactly what's going on and you get to touch it and feel it. If I wanted to know about finance, don't read a book and look at a case study. Go to a real finance spot with those guys. You get the idea. But the point was, one way to get ideas is you break it into little pieces, slot machine, mix it up. Okay, let's look at another one. Borrowed brilliance. If you always think from your own perspective, you're kind of limited by your experience. But maybe if you got some help from other people, it could work out. So, okay, if our topic is I want to have maybe more effective, more high impact learning, and who should I ask about this? Maybe let's ask this bad hair guy. So Raymond, if I asked Einstein here about, I want to make my training better, I want to get better results, higher impact, what do you think he would say? Can you unmute and tell us?
Would you like to repeat the question?
Sure. So if you asked Einstein to make your training more effective, what would he tell you? He might say, you need imagination. He might say, you should base it on mathematics. He might say, you need to turn off the light, says Daryl. Thank you. He might say you should stop brushing your hair. I'm not sure, but that's the idea. So if you're kind of stuck by yourself, you ask him. Let's ask someone else. Thank you, Raymond. Let's ask this guy. Okay, same concept. And I'm going to follow Christine and Daryl and say, if you can, put it in the chat. Everyone, if I asked Iron Man, please make my training more effective, make it better, what would he say? If you have an idea, please put it in the chat. Call Jarvis. Thank you, Daryl. Absolutely. So Jarvis is a super smart guy who's also helpful and takes risks. Okay, wear the suit. That means you need really advanced technology, and it should maybe combine you physically with the technology. So maybe something VR, or like go through a lot of physical activities with AR glasses, stuff like that. You get the idea. By using other people, you can kind of widen your range and maybe see things from different perspectives. Good stuff. Let's look at one more. This one is called forced association. And the idea is take something that is completely unrelated to your topic and just smash it and try to combine that to get an idea. So I want to make my training more exciting and get better impact. And my hint word or topic is, okay, baking supplies. What? Baking supplies combined with exciting, effective training. What could we use from baking supplies to make it better? Well, one of the things about baking is it's very specific. You need a recipe, and you need to prepare all that equipment. So maybe we have a very specific recipe. Maybe we prepare all the equipment. Or baking is something you do. You don't listen to people. So maybe we give the manual to the participants and have them try to do it themselves. Or, like Vaz says, maybe when it's finished, we have a nice smell and we all get to eat sweets like cookies and cake. You get the idea. Let's look at one more. Same topic, meaningful, exciting training. And what we got, goodbye baking, now is Olympics. Okay, well, for Olympics and training, I guess we could have a really fancy opening ceremony with important people and fireworks. That might make people serious. Or we could have it very serious, like challenges, and people compete, like Roy says. It could be games. We could have people who compete. Well, maybe they get awards, like Vaz says. Maybe we need special equipment or uniforms or something like that. Maybe we should practice really hard, and then at the end, it's a championship. Again, just one technique to get ideas, but what we saw is that there's many, 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 many techniques to get ideas, but actually inside your head, there's not so many variations. That's what I call the mechanism. It's like the movement in your head. So some of them are just throw everything out, like brain writing. Another one is go from minus to plus, to flip it. Another one is break it up, put it back together. Another one is think from a different person. And another one is just smash things together. If you want to know about more different kinds of idea generation tools, on the left is the super excited high caffeine style. On the right is a much more serious, logical, analytical, left brain style. And in the middle is kind of the balanced style. 3 books, all good. And when I started my company, I thought that if people got good ideas, they'd go back and use them. Sadly, I was very wrong. We got them the ideas quite easily in the training. But what I realized is that they didn't do anything. And it really started to piss me off. And so that's when I said, we have to focus on action or application or implementation. And the way that we do training is that there was always kind of a survey ahead of time. In the training, people bring their real problems. We get them ideas. They take it to their office. They're supposed to do something. But about 1 month later, the trainer calls every single person with kind of follow-up coaching for about 20 minutes a person. And during that time, what they always would tell us is, great training, so useful. We say, thanks. So what have you done? And they're like, oh, I haven't done anything, but it was great training and I'll do it when I get a chance. And it really made me angry. So we started asking, why aren't you doing it? What's the problem? What are the obstacles or barriers? And eventually we just kind of made a list of the common reasons that they would give for not doing anything. And it was usually something like this. They'd say, oh, those were really good cases, but it's not my company. Yeah, Google, 3M, Microsoft, wonderful, but we're not like that. Or they might say, yeah, I really like that innovation stuff, but I've only been in the company for 2 years. I'm too junior. But when I'm a VP, I'll definitely do it. Or they might say, oh, I want to do it, but I'm too busy. They could also say, well, I know what to do, but I'm the only one who took the training. And when I go back to my office, the other people around me, I don't really feel good, bothering them to help, et cetera, et cetera. And so what we tried to do was, there's a kind of game where it's called whack-a-mole, where these little dolls jump up and you have a stick and you try to smash the sticks. And so that's what we tried to do with all these problems, and came up with stuff like, okay, instead of case studies, let's use their real problems in the training so that they know it applies. Okay, if they say, I'm too junior, you say, no, 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 no. You're junior, small level, tiny job is fine. Just do something. So they don't tell us they're too busy. We make very specific action plans during the training, give them support to bring in other people, involve their managers so that it becomes a higher priority, support them with coaching, etc. Now, this is a lot of different pieces, and it's kind of hard to imagine what that looks like as a training program. So finally, let's talk a little bit more about that. And what I feel is that the content of the training is actually not that important for this topic. What's very important is the structure, because a training and good luck almost never works. So all those different little tricks, here's how we put them together. Before they come to the training, well, that's where we give them the questionnaire, and that's where they meet with their manager. And they say, okay, what is the topic I should try to do in this innovation training? What is my challenge? Then they tell us ahead of time, and we kind of plan the activities around those topics. Then they come for a training. Okay, great. We use their real work problems or topics, and then everyone goes through and they get their ideas, they make an action plan. When they go back, we say, use it, good luck, but that's not enough. So we give them some kind of support tools, especially to help the other people around them, to support them. There's maybe a little progress update, and if they start doing it and maybe get stuck, well, that's where that coaching is helpful. After all this, there's another 1 day or half day, not so important, but another day of training, and everybody kind of talks about, what did you do in the last month? How did it go? What was successful? Let's copy that. What were your difficulties? How we can get over it? And what's really important is less the training days. What's really important is in between. And that kind of training, use on the job, training, use on the job. If you can kind of repeat this into a bit of a cycle, then you can get some really, really exciting results. What we usually do is we usually do this a few times. You get something like this, and then at the end, there's like a big fancy presentation. They bring all the senior folks in, and they present the results they've already had to those senior folks. After doing this so much, what I can tell you, it's very, very clear what kind of results you get. And the results that you'll get if you do, say, a 1-day training and say good luck, or it's 3 days with 2 little cycles, or it's 5 days with 4 cycles. Just looking at the gray is people who do nothing. No matter what you do, if it's a one-off, you'll never get 100%, but you can probably get more than 80% of people who try something. If it's 3 days with 2 cycles, almost everybody will do something. And if it's 4 cycles, of course they all do it. That's kind of a quantity story. If you think about the quality, which we'll look at next, it's very, very clear. What they do is different. So the blue guys who had 1 day of training, they're like, oh, I understand, I want to try, and that's it. Usually not so much big application, definitely no results. If it's a 5-day thing, which is a month in between, so 4 months, you'll get some good business results. In the middle is the green. That would be 3 days, 2 months. Usually here, people start doing something. That's behavior change, application. They're doing it, that's good, but they don't have the results yet. To give you a couple examples of what, okay, in like a 5-day program type of thing, what you can expect. Here's one from maybe a sales guy. So a salesperson who has one big customer, like say a government office. Well, they're limited for how many people they deal with, but maybe her idea was she wanted to increase the number of sections she could deal with and try to sell to, and increase the number of opportunities. And in a few months, this is what she came up with. Now, somebody else has a different topic. Maybe they're a manager. And so during their time, what they focus on is, with my team, I want to increase speed and productivity, quality, and reduce overtime. Okay, that kind of stuff. Again, kind of a combination, maybe manager plus sales. you might get something like this. But the point is, like the pie charts showed, if you want results, you need that kind of structure with application and several cycles. For behavior change, much less is fine. And if you want people just to feel good and maybe want to try, well, then one day standalone training is probably okay. And with that, that's kind of my story for today. What we tried to look at is, what is the real start line for innovation training with most people? What's the kind of content or strategies that we use? And how do you put that into a program? Today I talked kind of fast, and that was also a short time. If you're interested, like I said, again, at our website, there's nothing to buy there, don't worry. But especially the stuff at the bottom, these kind of application videos, which is about one of the problems many people have is they want managers to support learning, not just innovation, every topic, but they don't know how to kind of talk to the manager about that. There's some videos that are just prepared there that you can use before the training, after the training, to the manager, to the participant. Show them that, and that'll maybe get them more focused on application. In the white papers, there's one about innovation that tells you kind of why we do all this stuff. And the design templates also tell you like different patterns of how to structure your training. Again, not only innovation, but how to structure it so that you really get good results. And with that, I am done with my talk. If there's questions or comments or abuse, I'm happy with all of those. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Jason. That was wonderful. There's so much for the audience to take away. What I would suggest is maybe we can also listen to Jacqueline, and then we can all together take a lot of these question and answers. Would that be all right with you? Yeah,
Absolutely. Also, if
Yeah.
people have questions and they write them in the chat, that can work
Yes.
as well. I'm here
Yes, that we can
and
start.
more than happy. Let's do Jacqueline first.
Yes, yes. So we start, please, when the questions are fresh in your mind, please start putting them on the chat. Let's listen to Jacqueline also, because there will be a lot of questions there, and we need to make sure that we give enough time to Jacqueline also to be able to, and we handle the questions together. Yeah, over to you, Jacqueline, please.
Thank you so much. Can everybody hear me clearly?
Yeah,
Yes.
we're able to hear you. Yeah.
Okay, great. Well, thank you so much. Jason actually give you a little bit taste of our one of the topic in our conference. So thank you so much. I am the Asia Pacific manager from ATD headquarters. I'm so glad that today I can introduce you our ATD 23 conference. So before I get started, I wanted to ask you, how many of you attend our conference before? Put in the chat if you attend our conference, our annual conference before. No? All new? ATD Japan? Oh, and well, thank you so much. So how many of you plan to attend this conference for the first time or heard about our conference? Well, I think a lot of new participant, potential new participant here. That's great. Welcome. Thank you for being interested to attend our conference. So let me pull out my slides. Well, if you have any question, don't forget to tell me, stop me anytime. So ATD 23 this year will taking place in San Diego, May 21st to May 24th. And it is an annual event. And this year, our theme of the year is Create a World That Works Better. So you might heard about our international conference Explore before. For those of you who doesn't know, it is an annual event happens in the United States, and it is the world's largest professional conference for learning and talent development professionals. And this year is our 80th anniversary, and we will celebrate the 80th anniversary in San Diego this year. So we're looking forward to more participants all over the world to coming here to join our conference. So every year we have attract on average about 9,500 attendees from over 90 countries all over the world. We will provide 250 education sessions presented by 350 speakers from 22 countries, including Jason and other experts. And in the exhibition hall, we will have over 300 exhibitors. So you will be able to benchmark and discover the newest trend of technology and services. And you might be able to find your own solutions from the exhibition. So I wanted to share the personal invitation from our CEO, Tony Bingham. Let's watch the video.
Jacqueline, I think the audio is not coming out.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Let me, I think probably, let me do it again. Okay, let me get started. Can you hear now?
Yes, you're able to hear.
I'm Tony Bingham, President and CEO of the Association for Talent Development. I'd like to extend a personal invitation to you to join us for the ATD 2023 International Conference and Exposition. Every year we look forward to bringing the talent development industry together, and I hope you'll be able to join us as we celebrate our 80th anniversary in San Diego. ATD 23 offers world-class learning opportunities. It's also a place where people from all over the world gather to network and collaborate. Whether you attend ATD 23 in person or virtually, expect a memorable experience full of learning and networking. Our 3 keynote speakers are well known and will offer unparalleled insights. Adam Grant, a top-rated professor in organizational psychology at Wharton, will provide inspiration on how to approach topics such as motivation, generosity, and creativity. Our next keynote speaker, Priya Parker, is a facilitator, strategic advisor, author, and lifelong curious learner. Expect her presentation to inspire us and take a deeper look at creating meaningful gatherings and learning experiences. Finally, you won't want to miss Leslie Odom Jr. deliver our closing presentation at ATD 23. Leslie catapulted to fame for his part in the award-winning musical Hamilton. Our world-class experts will share fresh insights, and the industry's top suppliers will be on hand in the expo to showcase new solutions to today's top challenges. A special benefit of attending ATD 23 in person is the networking you will do at the Global Village. People from all around the world gather to learn and collaborate with each other in this special area. We are planning a truly unique and special event this year, and that's why I'd like to make sure you receive this personal invitation. We appreciate your involvement in our global community and want to thank you for helping ATD create a world that works better. I look forward to seeing you at ATD 23 in May.
Well, hopefully it gets you very excited. So Tony gave us some preview of our conference. I wanted to talk about a little bit about recent trend and you know, based on the trend, we actually developed this year's conference as well as our topic and the theme. So let me go to the slides. For those of you who might heard about ATD, you must familiar with our recent Thailand development capability model. So it's a framework that sets common standard for what professional needs to know and needs to do in order to effective and successful. So we developed 3 domains of practice: building personal capability, which is the green part, and the blue part is developing professional capability. And the last part is impacting organizational capability. Under those 3 domains, we have 23 capabilities, including 188 knowledge of skill statement. So those are great tools to guide you for TD professionals. And from the research in 2020, we discovered the result that the most important capability were communication, lifetime learning, instructional design, training delivery, facilitation, and emotional intelligence and decision making. Keep in mind that in 2020, the result is probably present the situation before the COVID. Now, take a look at the 2022 research result. The most important capability is still communication. However, technology application, culture awareness and inclusion, and change management coming up become the most important capability in 2022. I think I will say this is during the pandemic and after post the pandemic, it's probably related. Nowadays we have a lot of hybrid working force and a lot of remote working situation. So capability model also provide a assessment for the TD professionals. So you can go in online and take your own assessment. So we have collected about 20,000 TD professionals self-assessments and to help them to figure out what might be their strong capabilities and what might be their least strong capability, and they need to improve, they need to fill the gap. So here's the result. The top 5 capability based on the global self-assessment for 20,000 TD professionals are lifelong learning, emotional intelligence and decision-making, and training, delivery and facilitation, project management, and communication. So what do you think the bottom 5 capability in this self-assessment? So there are data analysis, talent strategy and management, technology application, and career and leadership development, and change management. So if we compare the list from the research in 2023, the most important capability on the right-hand side is here. And then the least confident capability on the left-hand side. So you will find the change management and technology application on the both lists, which which are the largest gap for capability for T&D professionals. So based on the biggest gap, we actually targeting those area, change management and technology application. We put a lot of emphasis on those areas. We try to improve your capabilities and most necessary skills for TD professionals. So that's why we set up the tone as create a world that works better. So we have 13 learning tracks this year. So learning tracks is actually a tool to help you to navigate all the topics, all the education session. As I mentioned, we provide this year probably 275 education sessions. For the new attendees, it might be overwhelming. Which session you should attend, which level might be right. So learning tracks is the tool to help you to filter those topics. And on the website, if you're choosing a learning track, the topic will show up underneath. And it's very easy for you to targeting your own focusing area and find out your own learning path and design your own agenda for the conference. So definitely we have learning technology. It's on the top of the list. And we have learning science. I think a lot of, I talked to a lot of Singapore TD professionals. They are really looking forward to this learning science learning track as well. And we have talent strategy and management. And also we have future readiness, which is help you to get ready for the changes for the future. For example, if you want to focus on future readiness and filter the topic underneath, and you will actually find Jason's topic, innovation training under the future readiness. And then also we prepared a lot of industrial learning tracks. For example, government and healthcare. So, so that's definitely a great tool for you to design your own learning path and focus on some, the biggest gap you want to close. So definitely technology is the biggest concentration for this year. I want to highlight here, we not only have AI, VR topic, talk about the product and services. We also will talk about technology application and technology strategy. For this year, we will have about 40 to 50 topics under the technology application. So for those of you who want to concentrate on the increasing your impact, Liz Wiseman and Patty Phillips are very famous in the industry and will definitely to help you to increase your impact for your training. For those of you who are new to the TD professions and or you wanted to come back to your foundation, those sessions, master participant engagement, will teach you how to engage your learners. And then especially nowadays, we have a lot of virtual training opportunities, and they will definitely will help you to enhance your foundation of talent development and training. So take a look at our a whole week schedule. So on Thursday, Friday, the pink part is actually the certificate program. We provide 21 in-person certificate program on site. So if you travel to San Diego, it's a great opportunity to take our course. And after the course, you will get ATT certificate as well. From Sunday to Wednesday, we have concurrent sessions going on, education sessions. And between the session from the the green part, you will find enough time for you to visit the expo, to explore some latest trend, technology, and vendor as well. Here's one of our photo from the past year, to walking along the aisle and benchmark with their product and platform, and you can try their product and talking to the salespeople. Definitely you will experience the latest trend and getting very excited, and maybe you're able to find the best solution for your organization and for your career as well. So San Diego, without saying, is the best location in the West Coast. Sorry, Jason, no offense. And they have best weather all year round and along the coast, and has a lot of attractions. And our convention center is actually in downtown. You can see the coastline scenery, as well as walking distance to a lot of restaurants and coffee shop, and definitely a great location for you to visit in the States. And also, I noticed it's actually easier for the Asia Pacific participant to travel compared to the East Coast, saving 5 hours on the flight. So definitely, if you have a chance, please join us and visit San Diego and join the in-person conference. So traditionally on Tuesday of the week, we will have networking night. For baseball fan, this is a great news that this year we will have the networking night in Petco Park, which is the one of the most famous baseball park. And to enjoy the delicious food and live music, and you can networking with your peer from all over the world. And also, if you wanted to attend the conference, I recommend you to purchase the tickets in advance, because every single time on the first day, the networking night tickets will be sold out. As Tony mentioned, we have Global Village. So we have set up the table and chair. You can come in without any reservation. For all the international participants, you can sit down, reply your email, or networking with your peers, and this is a great space for you. And then you can come in and have a sip of coffee. And we also set up international luncheons for you on I think it's Sunday lunchtime. So keeping an eye on some invitation email. So it needs to be RSVP. So we're looking forward to see you and networking with you in the international lunch as well. So if you don't have enough time to travel to San Diego, virtual is a very good opportunity to attend as well. So virtual platform also will provide 3 incredible keynote and 30 super sessions live stream from San Diego. And you can attend the speaker live Q&A as well. And then on the virtual platform, you will able to access 200 hours of recording, mostly from San Diego, for 90 days after the conference. So you can always going back to review the content or even share the content with your colleagues from the virtual platform. And it's actually, I don't think you need it here. It has translation powered by the YouTube. So virtual platform also provide a networking and interaction. They have their virtual interacting marketplace. You can visit the virtual booth and ask for a virtual demo. And it provides peer-to-peer learning programs as well. And it gives you the chance you can connect it to and contact it to every single attendees and speakers and have a private meeting with them on the virtual platform. So I encourage you to join STADA delegation group here. Not only in person to save about $500 US to registration and perhaps $100 for virtual, but also I believe STADA delegation group, like here we have pre-conference webinar, after conference webinar, and I think on site they will have a lot of networking opportunity as well. And you'll be able to meet a lot of participants from Singapore, Malaysia, or even Southeast Asia. And here's the code and to register online by yourself, or you can ask a VAS to help you to register for you. And I wanted to friendly remind you that the early bird rate is expired April 7th. So if you wanted to enjoy the best rate with the STADA discount code, registered online by April 7th. All right, here's my presentation. I'm welcome for some questions. And also, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to contact me. My name is Jacqueline. Here's my email, and then my team's email is attdglobal@td.org. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Jacqueline. So much you have excited all of us. I'm sure many of us would be eager to join the ATD conference either in person or virtually. Thank you so much. Now is the time for question and answers. Two exciting speakers, lots of information today. I'm sure our the audience is waiting to ask questions. Please go ahead, unmute yourself and ask your questions. Or if you would like to type it out on chat, please go ahead and do that. Maybe I'll just, while people are, waiting for some questions. Oh, okay, so there is a question from Christine. So design training for face-to-face, yeah. Jason, would you like to take this? What's your advice for designing virtual ones?
Sure. So we've done a lot of virtual ones. This is kind of a roundabout answer, but it might be kind of interesting. In Japan, everybody is hired directly out of college on April 1st, on April Fool's Day, very silly. And they have training from 9 till 5:30 every day, at least 2 weeks, some guys as long as 4 or 5 months. Now, when that went to virtual, they refused to change the hours. So our virtual days are 9 to 5:30, and sometimes with up to 900 people. Now, if you're familiar with, say, Teams, and you want to put 900 people on there, it is just going to melt down. Even with Zoom, you can pay to get up to 100 breakout rooms, but that's not going to help you. So you need to have 3 different streams going simultaneously with 3 producers. And what I'm trying to say, though, is what we've done is the key basically for making virtual engaging is that design becomes even more important, and it really has to be broken down to at least 2 or 3 minute segments. And you try to have a lot of less than 7 or 8 minutes of explanation. You try to have interactions of a small style with polls, with annotation, with chat frequently. You go into breakout rooms. If you have a large group, you use multiple trainers. Like we do stuff with 300 people a lot. We'll use, say, 10 trainers. Trainer A does rooms 1 through 10, trainer B does 11 through 20, but constantly this type of action, movement, and interaction. In addition, whereas inside a face-to-face training, you have lots of stuff that you touch, hands-on, you can do a fair amount of that with shared files, whiteboards, and stuff like that in breakout rooms. So those are some of the things, but I would definitely say that the number one point is very, very granular, specific design that involves a lot of interaction. Okay, good luck with that mini-me. Hope you can charge more. As kind of a best practice, Jacqueline just showed that there's a couple queens of the virtual space. Cassie is one. Cassie is one. Cindy Huggett, originally Jennifer Hoffman. It's kind of a trio here. And what they recommend is if you're going to do virtual, keep it under 16 people and make it less than 3 hours. That seems to be kind of a manageable size for one person to do alone. Hope that helps.
Jason, another usual problem that we get is in terms of when you're doing an innovation training. Okay, you want people to change, but you are able to see that there's so many opportunities there, but you really want the team to come up with those options or think those options, right? You don't want to be telling them. How do you, as a facilitator of an innovation skills program, stop yourself from not telling and help the team discover and own up to those ideas, right?
From my experience, one very important element is don't worry so much about the quality of the ideas, because the problem is always implementation. So it's better to have a kind of low-level, unoriginal, shabby idea that they actually do than it is to have a new, fresh, exciting, strategic, fantastic idea that no one does. And so for that reason, I don't worry too much about whether they came up with a better idea than I can. What I'm much more focused on is getting them started. And the real challenge there is that the main reason that people don't do the new ideas they come up with is simply that they're scared. They're scared they might fail. They're scared they might get in trouble from their boss. Also, they're worried that, if it doesn't work, what's going to happen? And so I explained that really kind of complicated story, but all that is really trying to do is, if people are worried or they're not confident or they're afraid, as an adult, the trainer telling them it's going to be great, good luck, that is not going to work because they know it's not okay. That's why they're worried. What makes them feel confident is success. And so what you need to do is design an infrastructure or kind of steps that absolutely makes sure that they get like small wins. And that's what we try to do. So I would say that whatever the idea is, they can make it better later if they want. But in the training, what's really going to help is if they use it on the job, and even if it's a tiny baby step, 1 millimeter, if they try it and they're like, oh, that worked, little win, yes, they get the confidence to try a slightly bigger thing next time. And over time, that confidence leads to behavior change, leads to results, leads to better ideas. That's my understanding.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much, Jason.
That was a fantastic question too, as Christine says. Rock and roll. Randy has a question. Can I answer this one?
Please, please.
Sure. So talking about blended learning design. Actually, this was our presentation from last year, which was really about trying to make a combination of blended learning that is also very effective, but isn't so complicated and overwhelming. My short answer to this is that in the presentation I referenced, this page, these design templates here, is all about that. It tells you exactly what are the different styles, and they're as lean as they can be, but also effective. To kind of give a summary real quick, for what we're seeing is kind of the de facto fall to style for blended learning is you kind of have a little bit of pre-work, you have a half-day session, there's some application, and that's kind of repeated twice. Essentially what it is you take a one-day face-to-face session, you chop it in half into 2 halves, put some pre-work, and application in the middle. And that sort of style seems to be, at least in Japan, kind of the standard style. I think people like it because it feels kind of similar to the old school one-day full course that they liked. Maybe 3 things, and then I'll be quiet about this. Number 1, personally, I don't do too much pre-work before the first session because the people don't have a benefit of the session yet, so their motivation is low. I try to, in the first session, kind of spice them up, get them excited. They see the value. They're like, yes, I can do this. And that's when we start adding more work. Second, always put in activities, application in the middle. And third, I usually stop at the last session. We don't have follow-up work that nobody does, and then it has this kind of bad fade out. A lot of people at the end of a long training program, like the executive guy comes, he doesn't know anything about the training. People have been busting their butts for a year in some hardcore leadership thing, and he says, this is not the end, it's the beginning. I'm like, go to hell. This is the end. Checker flag. Give me a party. Fireworks. I want a stop. And of course they can do things afterwards, but try to make it boom, start with motivation, use it immediately, and finish clean end. Everyone wins. Cheers. That's my style. But again, more details online. Can I add maybe a couple hints about ATD ICE coming from Asia? So I've been going to ICE since the 90s, and originally I used to take my holidays, my paid vacation from my company, and I'd, pay by myself, and it was a big deal. It was really useful though for me when I was younger to get information before the internet about our industry, and I would buy a whole bunch of books and put it in my trunk and bring it back. In general, San Diego, I think, is the best location for international people. And the reason is that because it's closer, the jet lag is much easier. Also, the location it's close to Mexico and much more friendly towards non-white American guys. It's really comfortable in that regard. Also, a lot of international people come to the West Coast, and we can't tell Jackie this, so don't listen, but one of the disadvantages of participants, particularly in Washington, D.C., is there's so many lame government people from the US, and they are just narrow-minded and only focused on their little office. They don't come to the West Coast because it's too far and too expensive for them. So get rid of them, keep the good international people, the international folks. They're spending time, they spent their money, they're highly motivated, they're usually very serious, and the ratio of international people is higher, which is great, plus better food and nice weather. That's in general, but for this year, this should be a good year. It's kind of the coming out of return to big events. And when I went last year, it was the first face-to-face one in a while. And what was really different and good, which I think is going to be good this time too, is the expo. Because during COVID, the vendors went crazy, and there's so much new, exciting tech that we can use, and a lot of it isn't into Asia yet. That is what is completely different about going versus virtual, is actually the people who are going are super excited. They want to meet, so it's going to be fun. And also the expo will be great. The sessions are kind of similar. One other tip that we know from Japan, if you sign up for virtual, unless you're very, very careful, you won't watch many sessions because you didn't make the time. And so something that maybe our STADA friends could help us with is some of the guys in Japan, just like if you went to San Diego, you would be gone for a week. Now, they couldn't skip the whole week of work, but every day, like for 3 hours or something, they got together, even if it's virtual, just to watch the videos. Make the time during that week, or later is fine. But if you make the time and really attack it, you can get a great benefit from the virtual as well. But you do have to take a big chunk of time. You can't just like a little video here, a little bit video there, buy some coffee, go to work. It's too much for that. That's what we found over the last couple years with virtual conferences.
That's a great advice, Jason. I think that's something that we could straight away go and implement. We'll work that out. Yeah. There's an interesting question by
yes,
Randy Ravi. Maybe we can.
Absolutely. There's a couple angles with overconfident leaders. One of them is assessment, where you kind of set them up at the beginning and they fall on their face and you smack them and they're like, oh, wow. And then they become a little bit more open to trying new things. Another angle, which is similar to that, is the first time you let them try, they do nothing, you let them get burned, and we come back with some sort of report or test or assessment, and they're like, what? I really have to do this? Yeah. But in general, my feeling is that particularly with leadership folks, this is one area where you need to kind of take a circular roundabout way to trick them into liking the training. So I'll give you a good example. So we have a program called Logical Communication, which is about how to speak just clearly and straight. It's super, super simple. But one of the problems is that when particularly engineer and technical guys become managers, this is a stereotype, so don't hate me, but it's something we often have. they're not good at explaining things, and they kind of dump on the people. And so one of the things that they want that the senior management and L&D ask us is, please teach these management guys how to speak more clearly and more succinctly. Okay. But if you go up to a 20-year veteran, 45-year-old person and say, you need to take a training course of how to speak clearly, they will laugh at you and then spit, because their feeling is, I have a long career, I'm smart, and I'm successful because I'm a manager. So you're not going to get it straight on. So an example of kind of a roundabout way is you say, okay, you manager guys are so smart, and you are so important, and you are so busy. You can't waste time with your reports who give you hard to understand long stories, can you? They like that. Like, no, absolutely we can't. We're too important, too big. Okay, well, you are specialists at your job, but you're not a specialist at teaching communication. So I'm going to teach you some tricks. This is how you teach your reports to be better at communicating logically. They're like, really? That's cool. Now it'll be fast. Now I'm more important. You go through the training. They like it. At the end of the day, every survey says the same thing. That was for teaching my reports, but actually I'm going to use it too. And you're like, yes, bone brain palm. That's what we told you from the beginning. But that sort of angle can be very important, especially with management folks. Maybe another example of that is anything, I know this from my experience in Southeast Asia, that there's often some kind of perception or mindset training. They want people to be more aggressive or some crap like that. No one likes being told you are not, enthusiastic, or you are not aggressive enough. But that's what the management wants them. So maybe again, kind of a roundabout way is you say, this is usually younger employees. You say, hey, look at these comments from management. These are about the people 1 year older than you. And it's all bad. And it says a whole bunch of bad stuff. And you say, I can tell you, those guys 1 year older, they're almost exactly like you. They're smart. They're good at their job. And yet the managers say that they're garbage and that they're not aggressive enough. And so you just ask them, do you want them to say that about you? They're like, no. Okay. Well, then the point is, you have to make them think you're aggressive. So let's learn some tricks so that they don't tell you, they don't say that about you. And it's a small change, but really kind of focusing on the mentality of the learner and absolutely making it a benefit they can understand can go a long way. And so in things that are about attitudes that they don't want naturally to adapt, or things that, with very particularly arrogant, overconfident managers, sometimes that kind of spin move is important. Sorry to be so long.
Those are very, thank you, Jason. Those are beautiful examples that we can, how we can kind of take a circular route, but trick people into, not trick, but yeah, essentially that's what we are doing to make sure that we meet the organizational objective, and sometimes it's required to meet these organizational objectives. So I'm very conscious of the time. Are there any questions, burning questions, anything that anybody would like to ask? Last chance. Okay, so yeah, if there are no more questions, maybe may I invite Roy?
Yep.
Roy, maybe if you can give us your closing remark.
Right. Thank you very much, Vas, for organizing this. It must have been hard work. First of all, thank you, Jason. It's an honor to see you on screen. Right.
See you in San Diego.
Yes, see you in San Diego, and Japan once again, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's so nice to see you on. We were really making that decision, and immediately we say, okay, Jason, for this session. So once again, thank you very much, Jack. First of all, I want to thank you for your support all these years, right? You were almost giving us a tour to San Diego. Right, that was so beautiful. And we'll make our best effort to bring in as many people as possible as delegates. And I also want to say to everybody here, as a closing remark, I'm not sure you know this, but every one of your screen presence means so much to us. That there is, being much effort being, trying to organize this and organize subsequent webinar together with ATD. And today being a Friday, you are here with us. Some of us may be out with the family and so on and so forth, but every single presence is just so appreciated by Sada, myself, and Vas, and everybody else here. Okay. With that, I wish everybody good night, and I'll hand it over to Vas to close it officially.
Thank you so much, Roy. As you, as Freddie also put there, the sharing is so generous, right? And it's such a practical wisdom and such excitement to learn in, to the opportunities on ATD, and so much is there. I think it's an evening very well spent. Thank you so much for waking up so early, Jacqueline, and staying up late, Jason, for help, taking part in this, and wonderful. Thank you all for participating. Lovely. Let's meet again. Thank you. Bye-bye. See you.
Thank you so
Bye-bye.
much.
Thank you.
Bye.
See
Thank
you.
you, Jason. Thank you, Vas.
Thank you.
Thank you, Roy. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Nice weekend, everybody.
Yes, and have a good night. Yes, Mattel, bye-bye. Yes.
Bye, Freddie, too.
Bye. That's my
Yes.
junior.
Freddie's son,
Yeah, that's the
Freddie's
mini-me,
son,
right?
waving there. Yeah. Junior Freddie, have a great weekend.
Thank you, Ross. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, good night, Jason.
Hey,
Time
good
to
night,
sleep.
Jason.
Good
See you,
night.
see you.
Will
Bye-bye.
do.